Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's curriculum meeting, followed by the technology committee meeting. Again, the Pennridge School Board welcomes public comment according to the board's policy 903. We remind everyone of the following: that public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise specified by the board. The participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and note their name and municipality. All statements shall be directed to that presiding officer rather than to individual board members, district employees, or members of the public. The speaker may speak once during each comment period. Please note that these sessions are designated for comments. Questions raised and not addressed may be followed up at a later time. Anyone for public comment tonight for the curriculum meeting? Mr. Linden, give us your name and municipality, please.
Robert Linden, West Rock Hills. Your comments regarding public comment. I was attended a committee meeting and asked a question, and they couldn't answer it, and they said they'd give me the answer later. You addressed that in a previous meeting. I'm still waiting for that answer. And I don't know where this 903 policy, does that refer to board meetings and not committee meetings? I think committee meetings are separate in the policy from board meetings. And board meetings are school board meetings. This is a committee meeting. And I think there's two different sets of policy. I think there's policy that addresses school board meetings, but not committee meetings. So I think it's inappropriate what you read to us.
I will double check that, Mr. Linden. I can't be sure that what I have done is accurate by your definition. So,
and again, in your policy, it says the school board meeting will be held in the administration building at the appropriate office there. And you keep holding them in the auditorium.
yes.
So you don't follow your own policy.
So we need to change that part of the policy, just like we've changed, hopefully everywhere, the academic performance to curriculum. But it's something
Okay,
that you have to be mindful.
but when you do read policy to us, I hope that you're adhering to policy and that your policy is accurate and you're not misinterpreting your own policy.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, if not, we'll move to the two items that are on tonight's agenda. The first one has to do with the Donors Choose Grant proposal for Cubelets, and that's Dr. Scheid.
Thank you, Dr. Yarnell. I am presenting this evening on behalf of Mrs. Peg Bolak. She's a second grade teacher at Grass Elementary School, and she is requesting to pursue a new Donors Choose Grant, and she would like that for the purpose of funding a robotic program called Cubelets. And Donors Choose is an organization whereby if you are a teacher in a public school in the United States of America, you can put your application in, and there are people out there who will perhaps choose to fund that program. So on behalf of Mrs. Bolak, she is requesting to be able to request through Donors Choose this project.
Board members, are there questions or comments about the proposal? Mrs. Yarden?
Yeah, I have a question. It says that she wants the robotic construction kit for her second grade classroom, but then she goes on to say that she's going to use the Cubelets at the Wednesday morning Discovery Tech Club sessions, and that's at 8 a.m., which is before the school day starts, correct? Before the elementary school day starts. So I'm just wondering, is that club only for her second grade classroom, or is it open to all students in the school, or all second grade students? I'm just wondering who the club is open to.
Mrs. Yardley, I don't know if it's open to anyone other than her class. I was under the assumption that it was, but I'll find out and make sure that you all receive the information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments about this proposal? No, are we prepared to support it at the board meeting?
Yeah.
All right, it'll be on the agenda. Hopefully, Dr. Scheid, you can get us the answer to Mrs. Yardley's question prior to that time.
Yes, I will do that, Dr. Yarnell.
Okay, thank you. The second item is also yours, so if you would proceed to that.
Well, I wanted the committee, the board, and the community to be aware of some participation from our students, in particular the girls, in STEM activities. So basically what I'm going to share tonight, I actually have more than what is on that agenda because 2 other things came up that I wanted to share. So we will have 15 students from our North Middle School and 35 students from our high school, excuse me, participate in a girls' STEM conference, and it's going to be held on May 26th at Delaware Valley University. The Bucks County Intermediate Unit, they organize this event for the county, and we're limited in number of students, but we're very excited that our female students will be attending, and I can give you an update on how they do there. They're interactive seminars. There's female presenters who work in STEM-related fields. So we are encouraging our female students to participate in this, and I wanted to be aware of it because we're excited. But in addition, if you don't mind, Dr. Nernell, I wanted to share 2 other things that came up prior to this, or just after this, I'm sorry. At Central Middle School, on March 10th, former Pennridge Central Middle School students Justin Hess and Evan Kerr visited with the 8th grade technology education classes to demonstrate connections between the 8th grade course and their current fields of study in engineering at Penn State University. Evan and Justin assisted Mr. Ruckel with a lesson where students designed and built air-powered rockets using straws. They challenged the students to incorporate the iterative design process based on building, testing, evaluating, and redesigning models to produce the desired results. And this was wonderful to hear as well. Evan and Justin traced their passion for engineering and design back to Mr. Ruckel's 8th grade class. And we have another STEM-related challenge. At Deibler Elementary School, the STEM Design Challenge, that was held last Wednesday, and one of our Deibler teams came in 3rd place. Both teams and their coaches are to be commended for getting involved in the competition, and they worked really hard, so the students received certificates of recognition. And these are samples of how we're encouraging our students to participate in STEM-related competitions and activities, and we are working to build our curriculum around STEM-related topics as well, and I'll discuss that at the Technology Committee meeting. Thank you.
Question, you mentioned that for this project at Del Val, the attendance was limited, and you noted that there were students both from North Middle and from the high school, but none from the other 2 middle schools. Was that due to lack of interest, or why was only North Middle chosen to represent us in this particular arena?
Dr. Yarnell, North wasn't just chosen. All schools were invited to participate, and I did speak with the building principals, trying to figure out what happened, why students weren't attending. Part of it is transportation. The transportation costs are on the student. Part of it were there were other activities going on, and time ran out, and they didn't have that together. But South, Middle, and Central both expressed interest, and we'll hope to send students next year.
Other questions? Sorry, Mrs. Cutler.
Yeah, actually, I had a few weeks ago, it's a month ago now, one of my friends had reached out to me and asked, after seeing something in the paper about Del Val University, it was another event.
Can you speak up a little bit? I can't hear you.
A parent, a friend of mine, had asked me what we're doing for middle school level with the STEM, and particularly for girls, because he's the parent of 2 girls. So I talked to Mrs. Colezzo about this, the girls' STEM project, but I really do think it would be a good idea to, the way that it was described to me was that you have a requirement for a teacher to say that he or she will be the advisor for the students. And so in the future, if we can encourage people to take advantage, because so many of the schools in our area, as parents, like, how come this school's there and that school's there, and Pennridge doesn't have as much representation, and it was something that he definitely wants to see more of. And I think it'll be good, not just for the girls, but for all of the students.
Thank you, and I agree with that, and that is one of the factors. You do need a teacher. You cannot force teachers to do it. We want to encourage our teachers to be excited about events like this, so we will continue to work on that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm just going back to why Central and South don't have any students. So was it that there wasn't a teacher? Because I don't know how the information was disseminated at those schools. And did the students have to be invited, or was there a general announcement asking the girls to sign up, and you're saying they didn't have money for transportation? So
The way the information was disseminated was through Mrs. Coleza. She's the STEM supervisor, so she sent the information to the high school and the 3 middle schools.
to teachers or the
To
principal?
the principal,
Okay.
to the building principal. And Deb Cotner Davis at the high school. So Deb disseminated the information at the high school. So Mrs. Coleza then received the information back on North Middle Schools, and the other 2 schools weren't interested. So when I looked at this, that's what my question was, why didn't we have participation from the other 2 schools? So I did contact them, and they didn't say it was about teachers. One school, Central, they were running some other things. They really hadn't given it the, attention that they would have liked, and I did hear from Mr. Tim Chatton that he plans on doing that next year. So it really would be through the building principal, getting the information out to their buildings. Certainly we can reconsider do it other ways, but that is the way that it happened last year and this year.
So did students go last year? Because I don't recall that students from Pennridge went ever in the past, that this is the first time.
Okay, I thought, yes, I was under the impression that last year, I can check with Mrs. Coleza.
Yeah, I don't think they had, so, yeah, I mean, I think, especially if it's something new, that really it should be, that if you didn't hear from the middle schools, that Mrs. Coleza should have followed up and said, why aren't you doing this? Because it's very lopsided. And just to have, and I see everybody nodding their heads, so, she should have followed up and said, we need people from all the middle schools, because it doesn't seem right.
And to that point, I think we are gaining momentum with the whole idea of STEM, not just STEM-related competitions and activities for students, but really STEM curriculum development across the district. And I'll be talking more about that at the technology meeting. But yes, your point well taken, and we anticipate more students, and certainly not an uneven number of students, and I anticipated these questions, I really did, but I didn't want to not let the students who are participating be recognized for what they're doing. So I wanted everybody to know that, and I certainly understand that we need to improve in that area, and we will next year.
Yeah, I think, I wasn't aware of it. My daughter might have been interested in this, but I don't think she didn't seem to know anything about this. So maybe we just need to be a little bit more proactive in spreading the word about stuff like this. But I had a different question too. It said that we could send a total of 50. We had exactly 50. So I'm wondering, did we have to turn anyone away, or did we just coincidentally end up with that exact number?
I wasn't given any information on any students who we refused, but I don't know that for sure, so I certainly can find out if there was anybody turned away. I'm thinking that we didn't, because I know Dr. Scheid of the IU has said, they would make exceptions if some districts had 42 and somebody else had 56 or something. They would be able to work that out. So I'll find out for sure, and I'll send the email out to everybody.
So is it still possible for students from Central and North to go? Central and South. Sorry, Central and South.
As far as I understand, it's closed, but I'll check with Lindsay Sides tomorrow, just to make sure. Maybe there are students who aren't participating, but I think they reached their max. I'll find out.
Any other comments or questions? Any other comments or questions? This is not going to be a motion. This is just something you are giving us this information. Okay. Very good. That concludes the agenda. I will note that the April meeting of the curriculum committee will be held as scheduled, but the May meeting has been changed from its original date, I believe it was May 9th, to May 12th. And obviously, stay tuned, but that's the current plan. At this point, public comment. Mrs. Herring.
Diane Herring, Hilltown Township. To answer Mrs. Yardley's question, yes, there were a select number of students who did go to Del Val last year. They were all in high school. My daughter was included in that group. Initially, the registration for Del Val last year, however, was limited to honor students in 10th and 11th grade. And when they did not have enough participation, they actually opened it up to 9th grade at that point. That is how she got the opportunity to go. The students this year in the high school who attended last year were initially offered the first opportunity to re-attend. That is how she got her invitation this year. Came home as a handout from her chemistry teacher with the form with the fill out and pay for the busing. As far as the STEM program in general in the curriculum, I would hope that after what transpired this year with scheduling, the district would find a way that when students opt, and you allow them to opt, to take 2 sciences within the same academic year, they are not forced to choose which class to go to on a daily basis. Currently, my daughters are enrolled in both honors chemistry and honors physics in her sophomore year. They allowed that schedule, they gave it to her. Currently, both the lab session for physics and the lab for chemistry are a conflict. So she must choose on a daily basis which lab to go to. As a result, ironically, I happened to have a conversation with a chemistry teacher who noted, or the physics teacher who noted she was having some assignments that were missed. There were assignments actually that were assigned that while she was in the chemistry lab. And in addition to that, I also noted on Power School that the physics teacher has been keeping actually exceptionally detailed good records of her attendance. And as a result right now, she has 45 absences from physics because she had to choose between which class to go to on which day. So I would hope in the curriculum stride that you seem to be making and focusing on STEM, since she wants to be a pediatric neurosurgeon, that is her intention, that we find a way to make sure that if students, whether young women or young men, opt to pursue a field related to science, and we allow them to schedule these kinds of classes, we don't put them in this recipe to fail, because it is a recipe to fail when you have that many classes that you miss.
Thank you, Mrs. Herring. We will be discussing scheduling on Wednesday night. Mrs. Furlong.
Yep. Excuse me 1 minute. All right, go get Peter. Since I'm talking to Peter. Sue Furlong, West Rockville Township. I'm looking here at the agenda for this meeting. And I'm just curious, this is all about.
Your pick.
Sorry.
I gave you both of them.
Okay. On the agenda tonight, what is the website for this Donors Choose?
Do you know that, Dr. Scheid? Because I do not.
You can Google Donors Choose, so you can go to www.donorschoose, it'll come right up.
And how do you spell donors?
DONORS.
Why is there an apostrophe here? That would be a possessive
Well, it would be.
instead of a plural.
Right. I'd be happy to Google the website for you and let you know what it is.
Okay, I was just curious about that.
Okay.
In number 3, it has a pound sign and then girls STEM.
Yeah.
What's that pound sign stand for?
It's a hashtag.
Okay, thank you. And, okay.
I can tell you, because it's right here. It's donorschoose.org.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to make a remark about your remarks, Peter, in terms of, every time now we have a meeting, we get recited the policy that, oh, we're only allowed to speak once, you're only allowed to speak 3 minutes unless the board said so. And, my observation is if you like the person, they get 10 minutes. If you don't like them, they get 3 minutes. You don't have the meetings in the smaller room where we can actually hear you, and even in here, you move all the way to the back of the stage. You browbeat anybody who wants to submit a legal right to know. I think this board, and it used to be that at a committee meeting, there was leeway, and we were told, come to the committee meeting because that's where you would have more opportunity to have input as a member of the public, which I think is a good thing, because quite frankly, I don't think all 9 of you all, plus the professionals up here, know everything, or necessarily know how the public thinks about something. And so for you to cut yourselves off is to your detriment and the students and the staff. I don't think it's a healthy relationship with the public. I think you try to get as far away from the public as possible, and it shows, oh, well, yeah, we'll have to change that policy because heaven forbid we'd meet in a room where you can actually look each other eyeball to eyeball. And so I think that whatever's going on and wherever this direction is coming from, that you want to hide yourselves away from the public is detrimental to the community and the school district. And I personally think that it's shameful on your all's part. If nothing else, sometimes there's more than one topic on an agenda that I might want to say something about, but I only get to get up one time for 3 minutes. I think that's ridiculous at a committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Furlong. Anyone else?
I had to apply.
If not, this meeting's adjourned. Goes to technology.
Read your policy again about the comments. Make sure we don't forget that we're allowed 3 minutes. Yes.
Do you guys need a break for a minute?
Do we just break?
That's my
Okay, so it seems like we had public comment, so we're going to
We didn't have
just
it for
go,
this meeting, not for technology.
we'll just start into the technology portion. And